Good evening. Welcome to another episode of the Yankified podcast. The Yankified podcast is back. I am back from Milano. Let's go Milan. Let's go Inter Milan. No, AC Milan. Sorry, Hal. Let's go. I'm back from Milan. What a beautiful, beautiful place. I highly recommend it. But yeah, we got a lot to catch up on. So obviously in the title, we got to talk about Anthony Volpe. I missed that stuff from last week, so I got to give my thoughts on Anthony Volpe. Then we got the Cashman trade talks coming up. You know, he's all in on Miller and he's all in on Jeffers and catchers and this, that, and the other. All right. I guess we'll have to talk about it. You'll get my thoughts on that, that's for sure. And some breaking news on Hal's private equity deal. A $3 billion finance deal is going through as we speak. We got to talk about that with what little we know of the situation. The big question is, will the Yankees baseball team see any benefit from that $3 billion private equity? So that's the questions. Let's say hello to the chat. We already got people in the chat. Really happy to see so many people in the chat. So let's say hello to Jonathan, who is the early bird. I think it's too late for this season, and any trade plans should be for next year and beyond. Jonathan, I could not agree more. Let's talk about Volpe. I agree, Kings. Let's talk about Volpe. Okay, so we are going to start talking about Anthony Volpe because I have been waiting to talk about this thing for a while. This whole second base controversy. Did he say that he would never play second base? You know, what is there truth behind that? We had Michael K coming out and then Michael K walking it back 24 hours later. What truth is there behind that? I want to get your guys' thoughts on that. So I want to see your guys in the chat. Do you think that there was some truth to that? Or do you think that Michael K was completely out of line? And John the Beagle died. Oh, good. We got a Yankified podcast. Yeah, you baby. Yeah, it's back, baby. Really excited to talk to my people. If he's got the question is, if Volpe refuse orders, send him down. Yeah, right. What up, Donald and everyone? What's up to you, Dev? Good to see you in the chat. Great to see you in the chat. Okay, so a couple of things. And this is going to start with Michael K here. Did you guys come across his podcast with Brandon Tierney on Tierney Unleashed? He was a guest on BT's podcast. And I have to be honest, I think Michael K embarrassed himself on this podcast. One of the major takeaways from this podcast was that he said that he can't rip Volpe, right? He said this. He can't rip Volpe because he knows his family. He's got a great family. That's what he said. He can't rip Volpe because he's got a great family. And he loves his dad and his sister and the mother and all this stuff. And Volpe's a great guy personally, so he can't criticize Volpe. He said that. He says, does that make me soft? Well, maybe in this instance, he says. So my question is, why does it have to be personal? I mean, my major takeaway from this is, first of all, that he's majorly compromised. As the voice of the Yankees, and he can't criticize somebody because he likes the person personally, then you're not really doing your job on a radio show, right? But my major takeaway is, why does it have to be personal? Why does it have to be personal? Here's the truth. Here's the reality, right? And I'm going to use some different analogies for this, but it's really quite simple. Anthony Volpe is being paid to be a shortstop for the New York Yankees. That's his job. Okay? His job is to be an above-average major league shortstop for the New York Yankees, and he's being paid to do so. That's his job. That's his job. The problem is he's bad at his job, right? It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. It's not personal. I don't know the guy personally, and I don't care to know the guy personally. It's nothing about personal issues. I'm sure he's a great guy. But in terms of his job, he's not very good at it. So why can't you say that? Why does it have to be about his family? Oh, he's got a great family. I don't care. I don't care how good his family is. The truth is, he's not a very good shortstop. Why can't you say that? So, like, for instance, if you hire a chef in your restaurant and he gives everybody fucking food poisoning, right? That means he's not a very good fucking chef, okay? Are you not going to fire him because you like that person's family? Oh, I really like your family. Oh, you've got such a great family. I know that you've just cost us tons of money and everyone's got diarrhea now because of your bad cooking, but you're such a nice guy. Does that make sense to you? Because it's as simple as that. That's the analogy, okay? If you're a fucking food delivery driver and you can't deliver any fucking food, you're not a very good fucking driver, right? So you're not gonna keep your job. It's as simple as that. It doesn't matter how fucking great your family is. It doesn't matter if St. Francis of Assisi is your dad. It does not matter if you're not very good at the job you're being paid handsomely to do. So it's as simple as that. It's not personal with Anthony Volpe. It absolutely is not personal. And another thing that Michael Kay said is, oh, it's different for fans because they don't have to say hi to the dad and the mom. What are you talking about? Because that's the truth. It's as simple as that. I'm sure he's got a great dad. And if I saw his dad, I'd shake his hand. But I would still say, your son's not very good at his job. Right? Because I'm honest. And I think honesty is a good thing. And I think the problem in this modern generation, especially in terms of sports, is that you're muddying the waters now, where you're afraid to criticize because it's not viewed as kind and all this stuff. I mean, you have to just call shit for shit and call it straight. Especially if you're a general manager or a manager of a team. You want to make sure that the best people are in the best position to succeed in order for your team to succeed. You're not going to play somebody just because you like that person's family. That's ridiculous. So I have to really criticize Michael Kay there on that. I think it was, I think he's way off base there. And another thing he said was on this podcast, which was a disgrace. BT was quite right. He said the Volpe's arm he's got a rag arm, and he loops the ball over to first base without any zip. I mean, that's as kind of way as you could possibly put it. And then Kay retorted, "Oh, but Jeter didn't have a very good arm. How dare you compare Derek Jeter to Anthony Volpe?" So, I mean, that's disgraceful, and also the comparison is ridiculous. But it's also ridiculous in terms of the shilling that we have right now within this organization, and Michael Kay's part of it. He's just shilling for the sake of shilling, and it's a terrible look. So he's compromised. It's as simple as that. You cannot trust Michael Kay to say anything truthful about the New York Yankees anymore. Because he's friends with Volpe's family, right? And that's why he never criticizes Aaron Boone. Why? Because he's friends with Aaron Boone personally. So he is compromised. So in future, just dismiss anything that Michael Kay has to say. I'm sorry, it's the truth. That's the truth now. Because if you come out and you say, I can't criticize XYZ because I like that person personally and his family, that means that you're not doing your job, right? If you're a journalist and you're afraid to talk honestly, then you're not doing your job. Okay? So my job as a podcaster is to be honest. And my opinion is I think Michael Kay is compromised. Now, as for this whole controversy regarding Anthony Volpe. My major takeaway to this is A, who cares? I really genuinely don't care because I think the bigger takeaway here is just that he's not a very good player and we need to move on from him. It's as simple as that. I don't care if it's true or not. But if he genuinely did say, I'm the shortstop of the Yankees and I'm not playing second base, then he needs to be gone, and he needs to be gone yesterday. That is serious. And I think he knows that. And that's why I think that I think that there's some truth to it, but I don't think it's like 100% truth, if you know what I mean. I think that there's no smoke without fire is my major takeaway here with this Volpe stuff. There's no smoke without fire. If Joel Sherman's saying it, and multiple people are saying it to the point where Michael Kay goes on his show and says, I've heard from a bunch of people, including Joel Sherman, that Anthony Volpe said this about second base. I don't think it would be said unless there was a reason why it was said in the first place, right? So I do think that there's no smoke without fire. I think there's a little smoke here. But do I think that Volpe absolutely flat out refused? No. I don't think he flat out refused. I don't think that's him. I don't think that's him personally. So, I mean, I think there's an element to it. I think he'd be like, maybe he said something like, I'm the shortstop of the Yankees and I prefer to keep it that way. Without actually saying I won't play second base. Because I think that there's something behind it though, because why would someone like Joel Sherman and someone like Michael Kay, who's been in the media for decades, multiple decades, and has a lot of respect around the league, and he does have journalistic integrity. He wouldn't say something if he didn't feel fairly confident that there was some truth to it, these in terms of reports. So my major takeaway is I think that there's probably an element of truth to it, but maybe not the 100% truth. I think that I think a lot of people I respect have heard similar stuff. So I would be interested to see exactly what Volpe said. Now, in interest of fairness, Anthony Volpe said that I'd literally do whatever the team needed, and that's the truth behind the story. That's why that's what was said catches me off guard, because there literally was zero of that. Interesting. Then Michael Kay backtracked. I was wrong. Somebody called me and said that's not right. I made further calls and they said no, that he had never refused to play second base. I retracted. I plan to talk to him and apologize. I feel bad. I wouldn't want to put him in the crosshairs. Well, you did, bro. I mean, how tone deaf do you have to be to say something as inflammatory as that, right? Walk it back 24 hours later and say, "Oh, I really hope that he doesn't get in the crosshairs here." That's exactly what was going to happen. If you're saying that somebody refused to do something, right? And then you walk it back 24 hours later and go, "Oh, I hope he doesn't get in the crosshairs." You know exactly what you're doing, right? You know exactly what you're doing. You know exactly why you said it in the first place. So it's a little disingenuous from Kay. Let's be honest. I think it's disingenuous. Now, the only question for me is how much truth there is behind it. I'm 50-50 on it. I think there's an element of truth. I absolutely do. And I do genuinely believe that Michael Kay got a phone call from the higher up saying, you better you better cut that story out quick. You better redact that story super fast. Yeah, Stevie B says, Donald, Cashman told Kay, if you don't take it back on air, you're not a Yankee broadcaster. Right. I can't disagree here. I think Kay got told it's true at unconfirmed meeting, and then it's spilled, and he now took it back. I agree that somebody from higher up gave Michael Kay a yelling at. Like, you better retract that super fast. Now, again, the question is, how truthful is it? My personal belief is there's no smoke without fire. So you take that for what it is. I think that Volpe probably hinted incredibly strongly that he'd prefer to remain at shortstop. I'd say that, but I doubt that he said, I refuse to play second base. So then I'll give Volpe the benefit there. But I'm sorry. There's too many people that said that there was some truth behind that for me to think that there was absolutely no truth behind it. Because where would it come from otherwise? You know, people within the building, I've clearly told Kate before that this happened. Joel Sherman clearly heard it from people within the Yankee building that it happened. They're not going to say it unless, because there's no benefit to them saying it unless there was some truth to it. So I believe that there is some truth to it. I believe there is some truth to it, which makes Volpe snotty and entitled, if you're being quite honest about it. But again, whether there's zero truth to it or 50% truth to it or 100% truth to it, for me, it's irrelevant. He's just not a good shortstop, and he shouldn't be the Yankee shortstop. That's my takeaway here. John the Beagle Dad, which means Michael Kay was in the know somehow and was told to shut the F up. Volpe called in a few favors. I mean, it's interesting. So generally from the chat, I'm getting the impression you guys think that there's a lot of truth to this. So if I could, I'd put a poll up and I'd put a poll up and say, you know how much truth is there behind this. But if you guys could all give me a comment, everyone watching, give me a comment. Do you think there is truth behind the story? And it'll be interesting. Because remember, just for interest of fairness, Volpe has completely flat out denied it, and Michael Kay apologized the next day. So there is truth to that as well. However, for me, there's no smoke without fire. So everybody in the chat, give me your opinions quickly. Yes or no? Is there truth behind it? And we'll see where you guys are at with it. Because it is very interesting and highly inflammatory if it's true. I agree, Stevie B. I think Volpe said something about it. Too many beat reporters reported on it. Exactly. There's a lot of respected guys that have been in the media game for far too long. They wouldn't say that unless there's an element of truth behind it, because they're at risk of losing their jobs if they get it completely fundamentally wrong. Exactly, FJ. I agree. Michael would not make that up out of nowhere. There must be some truth behind it. Exactly. I think there is some truth behind it. Now, whether it's him, I don't believe that he flat out said, I am not playing second base. No. It's probably him saying, I'm the shortstop. Right? And then maybe people took it wrong way. Or maybe people took it the right way. But I think that's almost certainly the case. And I'm almost certain that Michael Kay got a phone call from the higher-ups. Because we have to remember one thing about the Yankees, guys, and this is the truth. The Yankees are very, very obsessed with optics, especially Brian Cashman. It's a priority that they make sure that their optics are pristine. And if anyone talks out of line, they get shut down quick. If a beat reporter asks a question which is not a softball layup question, they get shut down quick. This is the truth, Brad. There is a mafia right now, and it's led by Brian Cashman. He is in charge of the whole freaking thing. And if you guys don't believe me, it's really as simple as this. What happened when Derek Jeter and A-Rod had the balls to criticize Brian Cashman's roster construction on Fox during the October playoffs? What happened? Brian Cashman got on the phone to Derek Jeter personally and went on the radio and criticized A-Rod and criticized Jeter and tried to shut down the implication that Brian Cashman is controlling Aaron Boone. That was his major takeaway. This was after the Yankees got embarrassed against the Blue Jays. Did he talk about it? No, he didn't. He said he was proud about the team, but he really focused, doubled and trebled and quadrupled down on how dare anyone say that I control my manager. That was what it is. It's really about optics with Brian Cashman. So if you don't think that he heard that his golden boy, and there's reports out there that his golden boy is being insubordinate, what do you think is going to happen? He's going to be shutting down those reports super fast. And that's exactly what happened. Donald, there's some truth, and maybe that photo I sent you is the truth. Fire Cashman, fire Boone. Don't tell me how to fan, and we are a fourth place team. Jonathan Beagle Dad, back in a bit. Hope you will be on still. Got to take the dog out. You know what great thing about YouTube is you just put it on your phone, and then you can stick in your earpods, and you can walk the dog and still listen to me. There you go. But I appreciate you, John the Beagle Dad. Thank you so much. So yeah, that's my takeaway. I believe that there is some truth behind it, and I think that Volpe made it clear that he'd prefer to play shortstop. I didn't say that, and I'm saying now, I'm not saying that he refused to play second. I'm not saying he refused to play second. I'm saying that he probably hinted very strongly that he is the Yankees' shortstop. Either way, it's incredibly entitled and snotty. Okay? But again, that's my opinion on the matter. One thing that isn't opinion and is fact is he's just not a very good shortstop. He's abysmal. He's a failure, and it needs to end. But the truth is, he's one of the major reasons why this Yankee team is not firing on all cylinders. Like, he is the major reason for that. Because things started to go wrong when Aaron Boone started to mess with something that wasn't broken. And when you start messing with something that isn't broken, bad things are going to happen, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Shortstop was not broke the first 2 months of the year. It was not broke. Caballero was playing elite shortstop. And if anyone disagrees, just look at his defensive run saved. It was the best in the league when he was shortstop, right? An unfortunate injury, which only was a couple days, but was a perfect opportunity for the Yankees to go, yes, let's bring my baby boy back, okay? And then they forced him into shortstop, and they've made Caballero play every position but shortstop. And look what's happened. The Yankees are way off first place. And they've gone on long losing streaks, and they've embarrassed themselves numerous occasions right through June and July to this point. And Stevie B's got the number here. So anyone who says, oh, but if you look at Anthony Volpe's analytics, his analytics are really good. Okay, how was this for an analytic? When Cabby starts, the Yankees are 31-19 at shortstop. When Volpe starts, the Yankees are 19-23. That's the only analytic that I give a shit about. What shortstop helps the Yankees win? That is the only analytic that should count. Okay? That's the analytic that matters. Which shortstop helps the Yankees win? That answer is unequivocally Caballero. 31-19. Thank you, Stevie B. You're a legend. It's the truth. Look at that. How's that for a statistic? Mike Fishman, Aaron Boone, Brian Cashman, right? When Volpe plays shortstop, they are 19-23, and that is a generous 19-23. It's unequivocal. The Caballero is a better shortstop than Anthony Volpe. There's no mincing words about it. There's no question about it. There's no there's no debate about it. It's indisputable. The evidence is right there. Okay, there is no dispute behind it. The evidence is right there. Caballero, when he starts, the Yankees are 31-19 at shortstop. When Volpe starts at shortstop, they're 19-23. It's as simple as that. It doesn't need to be anything more difficult than that. And that's the thing that really infuriates me. And honestly, I kind of checked out on the Yankees season when that decision happened because I knew that they weren't actually trying to win. When that decision was made, I knew it wasn't about winning. It was about catering to personal friendships and playing favorites. And whenever you do that, things are going to get derailed. And that's exactly what's happened. That is exactly what happened. So Aaron Boone did this to himself. He did this to himself. And it's never ending. It really is. And it's embarrassing. The Yankees have embarrassed themselves with this Volpe stuff. And there's no end in sight with it either. There is no end in sight. Until they wise up, there is no end in sight. He has one home run this season, by the way. One. So can we end this nonsense? Can we end this nonsense, please? Like, what are you paying him for? He can't field his position and he can't hit. So what is it that the Yankees are falling over themselves to defend this guy for? He hurts the team. He doesn't help it, he hurts it. His batting run value is -2. His arm strength is in the 18th percentile. That's phenomenally bad. That's not bad, that's horrendous. Now, Baseball Savant has his range in the 93rd percentile. I think that's nonsense because if you actually look with your eyes, you can clearly see he takes terrible routes to the ball. And his baseball fundamentals and his shortstop fundamentals are way off. He allows the ball to play him. He handles a lot of balls by his knees. Pause. No, but he does. He fields a lot of balls by his knees. He takes terrible routes to the ball, and the ball plays him, and he almost by and large, almost certainly screws it all up. But the rest of his batting is dreadful, awful, horrendous. And his arm strength is in the 18th percentile, which is that's unbelievably bad. That means that what there's like 82% of the league is better than you. 82%. 82% of the league is better than you in terms of arm strength. Anthony Volpe's arm is a toddler's arm. I'm telling you now, toddlers have a better arm than Anthony Volpe. But I'm telling you, it's also getting worse. So if his arm strength was in the 18th percentile in 2026, what was it in 2025? It was in the 33rd percentile. That means it's getting worse. And by the way, last year, that was when his shoulder was cooked because it was hurt. And he required massive, serious surgery on it. And his arm strength was better. Post-surgery, his arm is now fundamentally worse. So that ends the excuse that, oh, it was the surgery, that was the problem, oh, it was his injury. In 2024, his arm strength was in the 29th percentile. We fast forward to 2 years, it's now in the 18th percentile. That means that his arm is getting worse rather than better. That's frightening. Oh, we got a $2 super chat. Jacob in the house. My man, Jacob, you are a legend. Bless up to you, my guy. Salute to you, Jacob. Donald, my brother, this weekend going to be good. The Dodgers are going to cook the Yankees on a skillet, my friend. Donald, Volpe arm isn't, it's a grandma and a walker. It's right. It's like grandma's arm. He's got an arm of a grandma. Grandmas have better arms than Anthony Volpe. Volpe's arm is embarrassing. It takes 3 bounces to get to first base. It loops to first base. I mean, your first baseman has to be Spider-Man in order to get a lot of these balls. And yet we have an organization defending him. They're defending the shortstop, the malfunctioning shortstop. It's really as simple as that. So to rewind what I was saying 32 minutes ago, you can use any analogy and it doesn't have to be personal. Let's not make it personal. I don't know the guy personally. He might be a prick or he might be a sweetheart. Either way, I genuinely don't care because it's not about the person. It's about what they do on the field. That's all I care about. And he's just not very good on the field. So I have to be honest about it. Now, Derek Jeter talked about Anthony Volpe. I don't know if you guys came across what he said. But Derek Jeter, because he is a true captain, he defended the fans. Because you know the organization loves to blame us for saying anything about their beloved Volpe. Jeter said, yeah, I can understand the fans on this. And God bless you, Jeter. But that's the truth. He did. He defended the fans. Now he kind of basically said that normally when you're trying to develop somebody, you develop them in the minor leagues, but the Yankees are trying to develop Anthony Volpe on the fly at major league level, which is why you're seeing him taking a lot of lumps and having a lot of ups and a lot of downs. So Jeter, I think, was kind of pointed there. I think he was kind of pointed saying normally somebody that needs a lot of development, they get developed in the minor leagues, but the Yankees are doing it on the fly at the major league level. And it's frustrating to watch. So God bless you, Derek Jeter. And he's right. But that's on Brian Cashman, by the way. And that is the perfect segue into the next topic. So we've covered Anthony Volpe. The next topic is Cashman's trade plans. Brian Cashman. You are something else, Cash. You are something else, Cash. So let me get this straight. You refuse to do any of your job, what you're paid to do. You refuse to do your job in the winter. You refuse to deal with any of the problems that the organization had in front of you. You refuse to look at that. And now you're doing it in July. My gosh, that's fantastic. Here's the truth. All the same problems that are ahead of us right now that we're staring at as we are looking at this roster, all of these problems existed in the winter. So this goes out to all the shills and all the Cashman defenders and the Cashman bootlickers, right? Cashman didn't do his job. Okay? I really want you guys to take that in. You take that in, you listen, and you just have to suck it up because that's the truth. Cashman didn't do his job when we needed him to do his job. Back in the winter, the Yankees needed a right-handed catcher, right? What was Cashman's answer to do that? What was Cashman's answer to that? Oh, two lefties. The Yankees needed a right-handed catcher back in the winter. He refused to do his job, right? Shortstop. Anthony Volpe is a bad shortstop. He can't play his position. You need a new shortstop. Did Brian Cashman address it? No, he didn't. Instead, he doubled down on Volpe. How's that working out for him? A failure. Right? So that's another thing. That's two. Third base. The Yankees desperately needed a right-handed bat at the hot corner that can play above average offensive baseball at that position. Did he look at it? No, he didn't. Because he made a terrible trade for McMahon, and that's costly. Okay, that's three. Cody Bellinger. He's paying Cody Bellinger as a top 5 outfielder in baseball. Cody Bellinger's numbers are anything but top 5 in baseball. He somehow made the All-Star team, and he somehow won MVP. I don't know how, but he didn't deserve it. Cody Bellinger has not had a very good offensive year. In fact, it's a down year for his standards, which is exactly how his career has worked to this point. He often has an up year, down year, up year, down year, up year, down. It's very consistent. And that's what I've been saying. And as you could go back to all my Yankifieds in the winter, and I said I would hesitate to give Cody Bellinger massive, massive money because if you look at it, he's more of a good player rather than a great player. He is someone that is very inconsistent, has a good year, then the next year it's a bad year. And this is all offensively. Defensively, he's great. But we're not paying a top 5 money in terms of the outfield for him to be a great fielder and an average offensive player. You needed better numbers, better production. And let's face it, well, this is a mediocre lineup. In fact, that's a very kind way of putting it. I think it's a terrible lineup, right? He should be balling out, but he isn't. So that was one of the moves that Cashman made. The other move was the Trent Grisham move. That 20 odd million could have been allocated to other areas, but you put it to Grisham. Grisham, in fairness to him, has actually been one of the few guys that have actually played above average in this lineup. But still, let's just look at what Cashman did this winter. The only moves he made was extend a qualifying offer to Trent Grisham, pay Cody Bellinger top 5 outfield money, and trade for Ryan Weathers. The rest was just roll back this exactly the same roster, which failed miserably last season. That was it. That was it. There was literally nothing else that he did. Nothing else. Literally nothing else. I really don't understand how people defend Brian Cashman at this point. Like when I still see people on Twitter, on X, or some channels saying, "Oh, Brian Cashman, Cash God," Cashman's waiting in the wings. Cashman's playing chess when everyone's playing checkers. I'm thinking, they still make guys like you. They still make people like you. Are you guys paying attention? He did nothing. He did literally nothing. And then you have Michael Kay saying, oh, he did all the heavy lifting in the summer, so he didn't need to do anything in the winter. I love that excuse. That was a great excuse. But it's also a bullshit excuse, because if you look at the moves he made last July, Duval, catastrophic trade. Jake Bird, catastrophic trade. Ryan McMahon, I wouldn't say catastrophic, but bad. So 3 failed, miserable, terrible trades, right? And then 2 that worked out, Cabby and Bednar. That was the heavy lifting? He's just not very good at his job anymore. But anyway, my main point here is, don't forget Chiavelli, another failure. That was it. Yeah, great. Thanks, Cash. But as I say, my major takeaway of this situation is it's highly convenient and highly ironic and slightly shameless that all the problems that we know need to be addressed right now existed back in the winter. So why didn't Cashman make those moves in the winter? And that's why I implore people in the media to start asking these questions, but they won't do it. They won't do it because they're afraid. But that's it. Cashman did not do his job in the winter, and that's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. They needed to remake that bullpen in the winter. Cashman refused to even look at the bullpen. They needed a frontline starter, knowing that Cole's going to take a long time coming back from injury, knowing that Clark Schmidt has serious injury problems and he's not going to be seen for a while, knowing that Rodon's going to be out injured for a while. You knew that all those things. You needed a decent frontline starter, and you refused to do it. You brought in Ryan Weathers. You went cheap, and you got cheap results. Right? He cheaped out in the winter, and he's getting cheap results now. That is what has happened. That is the case as a terrible, terrible approach. It's a terrible approach to roster building, right? There's an arrogance behind that. Because again, Brian Cashman keeps saying, oh, I defy any of you. He literally says this, and I'm not making this up. It's not hyperbolic. He said, I defy any of you to tell me this is not a World Series team. He said that. And it defies belief that he has the hubris and he has the arrogance to even say anything, as insane as that, considering the Yankees haven't won a World Series since 2009. They've made 1 World Series since 2009, and that 1 World Series appearance, they embarrassed themselves, right? And that roster was a heck of a lot better than this one. So to even have the balls to say that is highly questionable, and you have a serious ego problem, Cashman. You have a serious ego problem. Like, hubris is really interfering with your ability to make smart decisions. Because, like, if you take away all the hubris, you take away the arrogance, you take away the Yankee tinted glasses, and you look at it honestly, you say catcher is a major problem. Austin Wells is having one of the worst seasons in Yankee history, right? One of the worst seasons ever in Yankee history. It's never been seen before, the numbers that he's putting together. Awful, right? Catcher, major problem. Rice, success, fine. Second base, Jazz Chisholm. He's in a walk year, and he has been nothing but a distraction. He's having the worst defensive year since he's become a Yankee, and he's having the worst offensive year since becoming a Yankee. So second base is a problem. Major problem. You have no intention of extending him, pray to God, right? So he's going to be walking for nothing. Second base is a problem. And while you have him, he's making a clown of himself. He's sucking on lollipops. He's building sandcastles. He's nothing but a distraction. And his performances on and off the field have been a disaster. Okay, so second base is bad. Shortstop, terrible. Oh my God, terrible. Anthony Volpe, are you kidding me? Third base, look at Ryan McMahon's numbers. Ryan McMahon's numbers are consistently 50 points or 60 points below his career average this season. He's having a terrible year, right? So third base is a problem, right? Aaron Judge, you're not going to see Aaron Judge until September, right? Trent Grisham, Cody Bellinger, both overpaid, okay? So you look at that. You look at that lineup, and then we look at this bullpen. You have one closer and you have one setup man. The rest of the bullpen is a massive question mark. Massive question mark. Okay, that's not a championship bullpen. Are you laughing at me? That's not a championship caliber bullpen. And the starting rotation, as it stands right now, is consistent of Ryan Weathers, who's having a very mediocre year. Will Warren is having a mediocre year. Okay? And then Garrett Cole coming back from Tommy John. Max Fried still a ways away. Rodon coming back from surgery. It's being carried by Cam Schlitter as a second-year guy. So that's not a championship team. That's not a championship team. If you put it all together, right, you look at the lineup, that's not a championship lineup. It's definitely not a championship bullpen. And it's like payroll's like $350 million. So I'm sorry, you're not doing your job. But whether you think he's got a great roster or not, whether you think it's a championship roster or not, it doesn't matter. The truth is, you got to do the heavy lifting in the winter. And so this is where I have to really push back on Brian Cashman, because this new philosophy of his to just wait it out, leave positions unattended until July to address your needs, it's a really flawed strategy. It's incredibly flawed strategy, and it's only going to come back to bite you, because the benefits far outweigh the negatives in terms of doing your work in the winter. That means you're planning ahead, okay? That means that you can go into the marketplace in free agency when there's far more options available, and then you can bring in the people that you need to bring in, right? And I'm sorry, the trades are far more likely to happen in the winter than they are in July. And you're probably going to get a far cheaper price than you would in July. Because what Brian Cashman's doing by leaving positions completely unattended right until July, August, he's now at the mercy of the team that he's negotiating with at the July deadline. He's now at their mercy, okay? Because you're now competing with, say, half a dozen teams, all for that same player, who all think that they have a shot at competing and making the playoffs and making a playoff run. So they're all competing for the same player. Right? And then you add the obvious things such as a Yankee tax. That is a well-known fact. And then B, that team not wanting to help the Yankees, right? And B, that team saying, "Oh, the Yankees are desperate. Let's add another 10% on that tax, baby." Right? You'd have to be stupid not to do that. If you're the other team and you're looking at that Yankee roster and you're going, "Wow, the Yankees are a shit state. They have no bullpen. They have no third baseman. They have no shortstop. They have no second baseman. They have no catcher. They are desperate." Okay? They are desperate and their fans are apathetic / mad. Okay, let's add 20% to this trade price. So instead of wanting just Spencer Jones, I now want George Lombard. That's the kind of stuff that will happen. That's what will happen if you try and rebuild on the fly in July, because you are now at the mercy of the team that you're negotiating with. And the other team could simply just take another offer, right? They could simply just take the other offer of the other half a dozen teams that are competing for the same player. That's why you don't rebuild in July. You have to rebuild in the winter when you have far greater options, and then you can plan ahead. And instead of making panic moves, you can make smart, sound judgments. But Cashman doesn't do that because instead he prefers to be arrogant and use hubris and use his own ego and his refusal to self-audit and then blame the fan base for criticizing him, or blame Jeter and blame A-Rod. It's so much easier to blame everybody else instead of looking at yourself, right? But this idea of trying to rebuild in the fly in July is so seriously flawed because, by the way, he did this last year as well. He did this last year as well, guys. And what happened? He overpaid for Camilo Doval and he overpaid for Jake Bird. And then he took on 3 years of Ryan McMahon's contract. It's poor decision-making. So he did get those deals over the line. But at what cost? Like dozens of people from your farm system. So do you not think that's going to happen this July? Of course it will. You think Mason Miller's going to come in for just like a couple of B prospects? Forget about it. You'll be looking at Spencer Jones, ERC. You're going to look at an insane package if you want to get Mason Miller, right? And by the way, you also probably need a long reliever too. So you probably need to get Weaver in there. Do you think the Mets want to help the Yankees? You want to get Weaver back? The Mets are not going to be prepared to help the Yankees unless there'll be some significant cost. You could have just signed Weaver in the offseason, by the way. So that's what I'm saying. It's just to make the moves that you need to in order to survive the rest of the year. It's going to cost you a ton in prospect capital. A ton that we can ill afford to give up, frankly. So this is a serious problem in terms of the way that the Yankees operate. It just doesn't make sense. And you think Jeffers is going to come here on the cheap? That's our biggest flaw. That's our biggest desperate situation. The Twins will be like, hey, you guys have no catcher. You can lie all you want. Austin Wells is batting 150. Right? So we're going to need some serious prospect capital. So if you want to get Mason Miller and you want to get Jeffers, who's also injured, by the way, you want to get those guys in, it's going to cost us some serious prospects. And so the strategy is so severely flawed, and it's time to call it out, right? Because the strategy is nonsensical. And most smart organizations don't behave like this, okay? They don't behave like this. It's a terrible way to behave, okay? So I have to be honest about it, and I have to call it out. I hate it. I hate this way in which Brian Cashman is running this team to the ground. through to his own ego. All of the shit could have been dealt with in the winter. All of it. All of it. He could have addressed second base. He could have addressed shortstop. He could have addressed third base. He could have addressed catcher. He could have addressed bullpen. Could have addressed the rotation. All of it in the winter. He refused. Instead, he put his fingers in his ears and he closed his eyes and said, I'm really proud of this team. I'm really proud of our team. I love our process. My process is the best. You're not going to learn anything that way. Oh, and by the way, he didn't even go to the winter meetings. He couldn't be bothered. He didn't even go to the winter meetings. He didn't do his job. He didn't go to the GM meetings. Specifically for GMs, he didn't go to it. He didn't do his job. There you go. So that's my major takeaway on Cashman's philosophy. And the next thing is it too late? Is it too late? Because if you look at this situation, Aaron Judge, you're not going to see him until September. The Yankees are in second place. Then they're going to face the Dodgers. Then they're going to face the Braves and the Phillies. It's a bit of a juggernaut right through until the middle of August. The Yankees, I mean, I would be astonished if they're only 3 games back in the division after they finish facing the Braves and the Phillies and the Dodgers. I'd be astonished. Absolutely astonished. So they have to be smart about this, because if they overpay for a bunch of Reynolds to try and sneak themselves in the playoffs, for what end? For what purpose? For what good? You have to have a long-term view, and Brian Cashman doesn't have a long-term view. But in order to operate this thing, you have to have a long-term view. Our co-host Luca in the morning shows, he makes a good point. You have to analyze the macro and the micro in this situation. And that's what we have to do here. So let's be honest to ourselves. Let's take away the Yankee tinted glasses. Let's just look at this situation for what it is, okay? So let's be honest, okay? American League is historically weak, okay? So if you look at that, you go, hey, the Yankees have every chance of making the World Series because the rest of the American League is terrible, okay? I'm not going to argue with you on that. If that's the hill you want to go on, fine, okay? Because there's a lot of truth behind that, okay? There is truth behind that. It's a historically weak American League, and a semi-functioning Yankee team should be able to make a CS, okay? Maybe a little bit of work, a little bit of luck, to get a World Series. If you want to go down that hill, I'm not going to fight you on that too hard, because it's the truth. It's a really, really weak American League, okay? So you look at that, right? But then you also have to look at what is it that you're trying to achieve here? Because, yeah, you might make the World Series, but you're going to get cooked because the National League teams are going to roast you and destroy you and embarrass you, okay? So there's that, okay? That's the truth. The Dodgers will piss on the Yankees' grave in a World Series. So would the Braves. So would the Phillies. So would the Brewers. I mean, you could probably name half the National League would piss on the Yankees right now. Half the National League, probably more, right? I'll be honest, if you put the Yankees in the National League, the Yankees wouldn't have an above 500 record. That I can guarantee. Okay, so how good is this Yankee team? In terms of baseball, not very good. So what is it? What's the upside here? Like, what is it that you're aiming for? Are you aiming just to keep up our record of making a wild card and then clapping yourself and go, yay, we are the smartest, we are the best, right? Well, okay. Like, what's the upside there? Aaron Judge is out. He is not even 100%. And this is another major thing that you have to be worried about here. He's not going to be 100% this year. Even if he's 80%, I'm not even sure if you want 80% Aaron Judge at this age. Like, I think you have to be smart about this. You, as Lucas says, you have to look at the micro and the macro. Like, what's the major upside here? So you rush Aaron Judge back and he plays 80% and risks re-aggravating his injury. What for? To what end? To get to a wild card and then get embarrassed in the playoffs? Because at the end of the day, and this is why I tie this into my earlier argument where Brian Cashman has already screwed this whole pooch up anyway. It's like you're already closing the barn door after the horse is bolted. You know what I'm saying? Like being linked with Mason Miller and being linked with Jeffers and being linked with Weaver is great. That's fine. That's nice. Okay. It makes good headlines. But it's almost like you're closing the barn door after the horse is bolted. Because the damage has already been done. The damage has already been done. You look at this roster, there's too many holes to fix in July. It would take your entire minor league system to even fix the majority of the holes in this roster. Right? I'm trying to be honest about it. I'm trying not to be hyperbolic about it. I'm trying not to be like ripping the Yankees about it. I'm trying not to have Yankee tinted glasses. I'm trying to be honest about it. And that's my view. I think that catcher is a major issue. I think Jazz Chisholm is a major issue, mostly off the field than on the field. I think Anthony Volpe is a disgrace. The whole situation is a disgrace. I think Ryan McMahon is an incredibly below average offensive player. I think Bellinger and Grisham are good players, serviceable, but overpaid. I think Dominguez is overrated prospect, frankly. He's okay. I like him. I think in a better organization, I think he'd be good. But for this organization, I don't think it's working. They don't have a bullpen. There's too many injuries in this rotation. And Aaron Judge, who basically carries everything, is hurt. And it's a serious injury. It's not this quick injury. It's a pretty serious one. Rib injuries take a long time. You know, and he's not in his 20s anymore. So you have to be careful with him. And then you look at Stanton. If we had Stanton healthy right now, I would not be this worried. But we don't even have Stanton. We're probably not going to see him at all this year. So I'm not saying give up on the year. I'm saying be smart about it. Properly weigh up the upside. Properly weigh up where we're at. Because I'd be honest, I don't think it's worth it. I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze. You know that saying? Is the juice worth the squeeze with this? I'll be honest, I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze this season. I think the season was cooked when Brian Cashman refused to do any moves in the winter. That was when you have to do the heavy lifting. That is when you really needed to approach this roster without rose-tinted glasses, with honesty and a real need to improve. But he didn't do it. Okay, he got his media pals to attack the fan base, and then he called up Jeter and A-Rod and criticized them, and then gloated about it on WFAN. That's what Brian Cashman did in the winter. He didn't do his job. So frankly, he kind of sold the team when he did that. So what do you think July's going to do? Well, you're going to overpay you're going to overpay, which you have to. And for what end, though? because we've already saw what he did in last July. He made a bunch of panic moves last July. To what end? It got them a wild card, and they got embarrassed in the wild card. So what's it going to be this time? I mean, is it all just so that we can celebrate making a wild card, or if you're completely fortunate and the Tampa Bay Rays fall apart and you maybe win the division, but you're not going to last too long in the playoffs anyway because you're not really built for the playoffs. That's why all the work needed to be done in the winter. Like, there's too many fundamental flaws with this roster for me to be confident that they would do anything in the playoffs, whether they won the division or they finished second, because they don't have a leadoff hitter. There was 2 games right there where they struck out 17 times each. They struck out 34 times in 2 games. You do that in the playoffs. I don't care who you play in the playoffs. You can play the Little Sisters of the Poor, and you're going to get knocked out. That's not a strategy that works in the playoffs, and that's been the case since day dot. Since baseball was invented, you can't strike out 17 times in a playoff game. It can't happen. And win. It can't happen. You're not going to do it. You're not going to win. So you look at this and you go, to what end in the playoffs? You don't have a leadoff hitter. You don't have Stanton right now. You don't have 100% Aaron Judge. You don't have a shortstop. You don't have a third baseman. You have half a bullpen at best. You have one fantastic starting pitcher. You have to be honest about this and take a step back and go, maybe this year ain't the year. Let's consolidate. If I was in charge, if I was Hal Steinbrenner, and I don't care how popular it is or not, I was Hal Steinbrenner, I would be looking to replace Cashman as of right now. That's what I would be doing. I would be firing Brian Cashman and firing Aaron Boone right now. That's what I would do. And then I would leave it up to the GM to approach this roster with how they would see fit. That's what I would do. Because I really don't want Brian Cashman to keep making moves. It's done. It's cooked. It's cooked. He's had a million opportunities to rebuild and then retool again and retool again and retool again. Or sometimes just not even bother. He's had 20 years of this. At some point, you have to make a change. I don't want Cashman spending any more draft capital. I don't want Cashman making any more fundamental moves just to cover his ass because he refused to do any work when he was supposed to do his job. That's why I need a new GM in charge. If not right now, I need a new GM in charge at the end of this year. Because there's too many problems. This roster needs serious work. Serious work. This is not a patchwork thing. This is not a couple moves here and there, and we're a championship team. We're so far off it. There's serious work that needs to be done. And I think you need a new GM in order to really do it. And you need a new manager as well. So, to my point, Cashman's trade plan / is it too late? I do believe that right now, even though there's going to be a fraction of this fan base that'll be like, yes, get me Mason Miller, woo! No. I don't care who they bring in. I really don't. Because at this point, you're closing the barn door after the horse is bolted. The horse is long bolted, bro. So at this stage, I'd be just looking to consolidate and have a long-term view. This season might be a wash, guys. Okay? Now, before we finish off with Hal's private equity, which is going to be very interesting, I want your guys' views in the chat on this. But if everybody, because I've been going pretty strong for the first hour and 10 minutes without really saying hello to the chat, which I apologize for, but I'm going to get really stuck into the chat right now. If everybody that is watching, please hit that like button, sub up, share out, do all the good stuff for me and the channel. I'm trying to give you the honest truth as I see it, and I'm trying to do it in an unbiased viewpoint, and I think that's why you guys are tuning in. I think you guys, I know there'll be some people that want to hear this, the Yankee pom-poms and all that stuff, which is perfectly okay. I am not denigrating anybody that likes the Yankee pom-poms, but that's not what I really do here. I try and look things honestly and taking a step back and seeing the wood for the trees and being honest and critical. That's what it's about for me, okay? And I think if you're being honest and critical and you didn't have biases and you weren't in the Yankees' pockets or you weren't in Cashman's pocket or you weren't afraid of a Yankee mafia, which exists, by the way, then I think if you're not like tied to these things, and I think if you take a step back and you would be as critical as I am. I would love to be optimistic about the Yankees. I would love it. You guys don't know how, because you haven't really seen it, but truthfully, I would love this Yankee team to be great. And if they were great, I would say so. I would say so. I would be really happy about it. And I just can't. I'd be lying to you. I'd be frankly lying to you if I was happy about this. I think the Yankees are in a mess. I really do. And I'm not going to make that national sweep into something that it wasn't. The Yankees should have gotten swept in that series. They did. They should have, and it just was the Nationals' incompetence. The reason why the Yankees didn't get swept, and the Yankees aren't completely out of it already. Anyway, I'm going to get right through this chat, and then we're going to talk a little bit about Hal Steinbrenner before we finish off. So we've got a little bit more work to do here. So everybody, please hit the like button. Need to get more likes up, guys. Get more people involved in the chat. Right. Okay, here we go. FJ, Cashman didn't even attend the winter meetings. He didn't even bother. Facts. Facts. Got Celia in the chat. Good to see Celia. All right. Hey, y'all. Honestly, it's a shame because the AL is so bad this year, but I don't think he's going to make any trades that will get him over the hump to win a World Series, unfortunately. I agree with you, Celia. I just don't think that there is enough moves that you can possibly make to make this a championship team. The Dodgers are so far ahead of you. The Phillies are so far ahead of you. I have to be honest. I think the Rays are better than you. I think the Phillies, as I say, I think there's a handful of teams in the National League that are a significant distance better than the Yankees are. And that's even with Aaron Judge, a healthy Aaron Judge. So I just don't see the point, frankly. I don't see the point in spending draft capital and overpaying when the situation needed to be handled in the winter. That's my major takeaway. Celia says, well, that's why he's got to do stuff now at this deadline, but I don't see him doing anything to put them over the top. I just don't think there is a move to put them over the top. I mean, I'll be frank about it. I don't. I hate to say it. If you do the heavy lifting in the offseason and supplementary moves at the trade deadline. Facts. That's when you do it. You do the heavy lifting in the offseason and you do the supplementary moves at the trade deadline. That is how you build a roster. Cashman is doing the opposite. He does supplementary moves in the offseason and he does the heavy lifting in July. And that's what needs to be called out. Got Evan in the chat. Salute to you, Evan. Good to see you in the chat, my guy. Love to have you in the chat, my man. CBB, this roster isn't good enough to win the division with Judge out. I'd sell if it were up to me. Get impact players ready for next year. Facts. I agree. I completely agree. Celia, the AL is terrible this year. I would say sell, but they are one of the better teams in a horrible league, and that's it. But that's why you're at kind of that's why the like there's no wrong answer here. You know what I'm saying? Like you could look at it either way. You could say, hey, the Yankees might only be a couple moves away from being an ALCS team, right? But then you could also say this is a roster that's so fundamentally flawed that needs so much work that really this is an off-season job to fix. And I would not be spending tons of draft capital and all that stuff for kind of a lost cause. And that's kind of where I'm at. And it looks like that's what CBB's at here. This team has so many holes. Get rid of the dead weight, get younger, add some good pieces in the offseason. That's where I'm at. If they get an infielder and a catcher, I think that makes the offense a lot better. It would. You'd just be wasting another year judging Cole. I mean, I can't argue with you, Celia, as well. As I say, there's not really any wrong answers there. Like whatever your opinion is, you can make a point. Like you could say sell or you could say buy, and there's there's points in both camps. But I'm very much in the camp of this isn't worth it. It just isn't worth it. Like for me, the season was cooked when Brian Cashman refused to do anything in the winter. That's when the season was done. Even before first game was played, even before Aaron Judge got hurt, even before Stanton got hurt, even before Max Fried got hurt. Because there was some fundamental issues that Cashman refused to look at. And these fundamental issues are now staring at you right in the face mid-season. Healing Man's Hearts, my guy. This team is a Jenga tower. Facts. Absolutely facts. Felix says Cash God. You know that there's some Cash God defenders out there. Cashman always works in the margins. His ego is destructive. Absolutely, man. I couldn't say it better myself. His roster decisions are based on hubris. As I said before, you look at what his behavior after they got embarrassed by the Blue Jays. What was his behavior? Did he say, I'm unhappy about that. We should have played better. We played terribly. We got blown out in 2 games of that series. We're better than that. And I need to look at how we can improve this roster. Did he do that? No, he didn't. This is what he did. How dare Derek Jeter and A-Rod say that that Aaron Boone's my puppet? A-Rod only won 1 championship. Derek Jeter's loved worldwide, but he can't be right all the time. Oh, I'm going to leave it to the masses to decide, but I love our roster, and I love our process, and everything's great here. That's what he did. That was his behavior. It's his ego which is so destructive. I defy anyone to tell me this is a world championship team. Ego, 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 ego. He spent days, weeks complaining about Jeter and A-Rod saying that Aaron Boone's his puppet. That kind of stuff is really destructive. That kind of ego is so destructive. Why is he so bothered what A-Rod and Jeter said? A-Rod and Jeter will always be more popular than you, Cashman. I don't care how much that hurts you or hurts your feelings. They will always be appreciated more than you. It's just the facts. A-Rod's one of the best third basemen, one of the best shortstops to ever play the game, one of the best hitters to ever play the game. Right? He's had multiple MVP seasons as a Yankee. He was great. I don't care about the steroids. He's freaking amazing. And Derek Jeter is the greatest captain we probably ever had. He is a Mount Rushmore Yankee, and he is beloved because he carried your ass to several championships. So, of course, they're going to be loved. So stop complaining about things you can't control. Stop blaming the fan base for things that you are at fault for. Okay? It's your fault that you're bringing in shit players. It's your fault for the Josh Donaldson trade. It was your fault for the Aaron Hicks trade. It's your fault for the Anthony Volpe stuff. Chaos. It's your fault that you hired Aaron Boone back in 2018. It was your fault that you did all that. You are the major reason why this team hasn't won jack shit since 2009. You are the major reason for that. Stop blaming the fan base. Stop blaming Jeter. Stop blaming A-Rod. Stop blaming the weather. And start looking at yourself. Thank you. And that's exactly where I'm at, Healing Man's Hearts. Cashman is screwed and he deserves it. That is my opinion. 100% my opinion. Everything that he's getting right now, he deserves. If the Yankees go on a 10-game losing streak after the All-Star break, he deserves it. And I'm not going to bat an eye because he deserves it. You can't behave like he's been behaving and get away with it. Stevie B, I want to sell. Get rid of Volpe, Jazz, Grisham, and half the pen. Rebuild. Let Jones play. Let some prospects play. See what we have. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at, Stevie B. I agree with you. I'd DFA Volpe. If there's a team that wants him, great. I'd get rid of him. Otherwise, you can send him down to AAA and see if he can work out at second base. But he's not a shortstop, and he should never be playing shortstop. Jazz, I'm trading him to the highest bidder or the lowest bidder or whatever bidder. He got to go. I would have traded him as soon as he stuck that lollipop in his mouth. He's not a serious ball player. Get him out. Grisham, there's no one's going to take him anyway. He's been fine this season. Half the pen, definitely. But I would just be using to rebuild those pen. You know what I would do? I'd maybe make a trade for Weaver, and then the rest, I would just be bringing in like Giovanni Cruz and ERC and just calling up guys from the minors and seeing if they could fill out the bullpen roles. I'm not going to make any major trades. It's no point. I'm doing the heavy lifting in the winter anyway. And third base, what can you do? What can you do? No one's going to take McMahon on. No team is stupid enough to make a trade for McMahon, apart from Brian Cashman. So, again, but that would be something I'd be looking at. Is anybody would want Ryan McMahon? Send him away. We got to get younger. Let's give Spencer Jones the entire rest of the year. Give it Spencer Jones and Dominguez. Give them the rest of the year. Let's see what you got. Let's see what you got. Give Cabby the shortstop job for the rest of the year. We'll see what we got there. Now he definitely needs to make a catcher trade. That is the fact, because you can't have Austin Wells playing. That's just stupid. But apart from that, I'm not making major moves. It's just pointless to me. I'm making the moves that I'm making are ones with a long view. Because that's where we should be at. We should be looking at a long view, because I don't think we know what we have with Spencer Jones yet. I don't think we really know what we have with Dominguez yet. So let's give them the rest of the year, right? What do we have with Caballero? Is Caballero our shortstop for the rest of the next year or two before George Lombard's ready? Let's see. Let's stop moving him to right field, left field, center field, catcher, first, second, third, pitcher. Let's stop that shit. Let's keep him a shortstop. Let's see what you got. Let's see what you got. And let's get younger. Let's get younger. Why not make a couple of trades for some guys that are maybe unheralded in the minors? See if you can maybe catch lightning in a bottle for the rest of this year. For me, that's what I would be doing. I'd be having a long-term view, but the first thing, you got to get rid of the dead weight. Healing Man's Hearts is already saying July is going to be a disaster. Yeah, I agree. I think it will be. Go look in the chat. What's up? What's up, Donald, in the chat? Jam that like button, please. Jam that like button. Thank you, man. Appreciate you. As always, it's my guy. Healing Men's Hearts Yankees should sell. New manager, new GM, kick Fishman into the Atlantic Ocean. The Atlantic Ocean. Oh, amen. Essay in the chat. Judge F grade. Terrible captain, I agree. Terrible captain. Sorry, Aaron Fudge, no chip for you. Aaron Fudge. If the Yankees were in the AL, we'd be the last wild card. The Nationals had our bullpen, they'd have a better record than the Dodgers, and that's scary. If they even had a mediocre bullpen, the Yankees would have gone swept by the Nationals. That's a fact. If we had a real manager like Franco or Cora, the team would be first place. Yes, that's true. Here's another thing that in my major criticism of Cashman. Cashman doesn't allow his managers to manage. Now, whether that means that he is a puppeteer or what, the truth is he doesn't allow his managers to manage because he doesn't want his manager to have any backbone. Like, you look at the situation where Jazz was sucking on the lollipop, right? That night, Aaron Boone said, yeah, that pissed me off. The next day, he says, oh, you can suck on as many lollipops as you want. What happened in 24 hours? What happened in that 24 hours? I can tell you what happened in that 24 hours. Cashman says, Aaron, do you know what happened to the last manager that criticized a player? I fired him. So you better be on your knees and defending my boy Jazz, who I traded for and gave up a catcher for, and now we have no catchers. So that's what happened. I guarantee you, I promise you that's what happened. Because how can you go from saying it pissed you off to the next day saying you can suck on as many lollipops as you want? We love Jazz. He got a call from upstairs. Oh, Ipsy. This team has more holes than an adult movie star. Hey, yo. Hey, yo, bro. Healing Man's Heart says, I'm on a roll. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. That is incredible, by the way. I'm going to remember that one. I don't know if I want to remember that one, but I'm going to remember that one. So essentially, I can't take it too far. All right, because we're getting monetized. I don't want to demonetize it. I was going to make a Bonnie Blue joke, but anyway. Luca, even though he's in the last year of his contract, I think it's dead obvious that Cashman is returning until he retires on his own accord. Yes, exactly. But who would leave with his job security? Exactly. But that's why the Yankees don't self-audit, Luca. It's because if they did, then all the jobs to all their pals that have been there since the last championship, then they'd all be at risk. So Brian Cashman is just going to front it and say, I love our process, even though there's absolutely nothing to justify it. John the Beagle Dad I still say Boone is an ESPN plan, and they hate Boone undermines the Yankee. He does. I've not even talked about Aaron Boone this episode. That's pretty good going for me. If I'm being honest, if Hal was smart, he'd fire Boone and Cashman mid-season and have someone like Sabian evaluate the roster. Facts, bro. Getting a start for that. That's exactly where I'm at. Like, if I was Hal right now, Cashman would be fired. Aaron Boone would be fired because I'm not going to be trading away what precious capital we have. I'm not trading away Spencer Jones and Jason Dominguez and ERC and all that just to bring in some moves that you should have made back in the winter. which wouldn't have cost all this draft capital had you done your job in the winter. That's just a bad GM. You got to be fired for it. You got to be held responsible for it. And Aaron Boone, you got to go too. The fact that he's still here is absurd. You've already got Aaron Judge, who is a terrible leader, and he's already saying, yeah, there's a focus issue with this team. Yikes. You got Jazz Chisholm, is the last person I ever want to hear from in terms of morale, but even he's saying things are coming apart. Players are, he was trying to motivate them. Jazz is trying to motivate them. Where's Aaron Boone in this equation? Nowhere. Licking ice cream. Church, Donald, preach. Amen. Thank you. Jake, let me ask you guys this. You don't think that if they got an infielder like Luis Ariz, that wouldn't help the offense a lot? I don't know. Of course it would help the offense a lot, but again, he's not going to play any good defense. But yeah, there's going to be individual moves that are going to help this offense. There's no getting away from it. Of course it would. But that only accounts for second base, okay? That you also have to get a catcher. You also have to figure out what you're going to do with Volpe. Doesn't address third base. Doesn't address the outfield. Doesn't address the bullpen. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many holes. Yeah, you can go bring in some prospects for Luis Ariz, but you also have to get another bunch of prospects for catcher. You also have to get a bunch of prospects to get a setup man. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's too many moves for it to feel like it's worth it. So that's why it's almost the smart call would be just to say, let's make a couple of minor moves and let's go young and do the heavy lifting in the offseason. Let's get Aaron Judge 100% healthy. Figure out what you're going to do with Stanton. Figure out if he's salvageable. And then if you give Spencer Jones and Dominguez a full rest of the year, you're going to be armed with that knowledge as to whether there's somebody that you can build around next year. If they're not, trade them. Fine. If they are, excellent. You know what I'm saying? This is an opportunity for you to learn about the rest of your roster. You're not going to learn about your roster if you trade Spencer Jones for Mason Miller just to get us into a wild card, which we're probably going to lose. That's what I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think long term. Brian Cashman doesn't think long term. Brian Cashman is only aiming just to get into the playoffs, get embarrassed in the playoffs, but then just say, hey, I made the playoffs. And I love our team and I love our process. By the way, I've just spent an hour and 34 minutes talking about how shit his process is. Jake says, I don't know. I think this offense is fairly good. I think about it. Judge, Bellinger, Stanton, Rice, Ariz, Goodman. Those are 6 players in your lineup. I'm not saying that he's going to do that, but well, Judge is not going to be healthy, and you're not going to see him until September. Bellinger, for me, I've been saying this for a long time. I think Bellinger's a leadoff guy. Like, he doesn't have much power at this stage. Stanton's cooked. You're not going to see him. And Rice, love Rice. Ariz, he should be our leadoff hitter. I agree with that. But they definitely need a catcher as well. But, you know, like, you could fix some of that, but there's still so many other more moves you also need to address here. We need Lou in the chat, we need a player who can handle New York and thrives under pressure. Do you know anyone like that? Yeah, there's guys out there. There's guys out there. But you need to get winners in here. there's not enough winners in this organization, and it's up and down. Like you got a loser manager, you got a loser second baseman, a loser shortstop. You got a captain who's kind of a career loser. There's too many losers here. You need winners. You need to start getting some winners in the building, right? And Brian Cashman's behavior is of a loser. Hal Steinbrenner, loser. And that's the perfect segue to talk about some Hal Steinbrenner before we finish off the Yankified. It's been a pretty damn good episode, if I may say so myself. Let's talk a little bit about Hal's private equity. So, according to the news, the New York Yankees are in talks for $3 billion financing from Apollo, private equity firm. Let's share it out and let's talk about it, because I need your opinions on this, guys. So please do give your thoughts on this. Let's have a look and see here what they got to say. The Yankees are in advanced discussions to secure nearly $3 billion in financing from Apollo Global Management, according to Bloomberg News. MLB team and the private capital firm's sports investing unit are negotiating terms for a package that would consist primarily of debt, with some equity included. Yankee Global Enterprises, which owns the Yankees, is controlled by Hal Steinbrenner. The company has also made investments in AC Milan, NYCFC. A portion of the funds raised would be used to refinance existing debt, while the remaining amount would be allocated towards growth opportunities. Interesting. Let's look at that word choice again. Much of that is to refinance existing debt. So that's basically you're basically like remortgaging your house then, right? To cover some debt, while the remaining amount would be allocated towards growth opportunities. Growth opportunities. That sounds to me like Hal wants to make other investments. It doesn't sound like it's to be put into the baseball team, judging by that word choice. Judging by that word choice, I don't think that has anything to do with what we really need, which is like serious investment on the baseball team. I think it's about debt management. I think it's about, the bondsman that Hal's been talking about for years. Oh, I still got bondsman to pay, blah, blah, blah. I think it's that. I think it's about the stadium deal that they made way back when they fronted it, when they footed the bill for the stadium. I think they're gonna try and refinance that debt from the stadium. I have a feeling, and this is my opinion, and I think it's an educated opinion, I think you're going to be seeing a lot of hefty price rises at Yankee Stadium, guys. I really do think that. I think your chicken buckets is going to be adding another $3-4 to that. I think the $21 you get for a warm beer better add another $5-6 to that. The $100 that you paid is set in the mid tier. Better add another $50-60 to that. That's my opinion. I think the prices are going to go up. I think the average fan is going to get pushed out. The average fan will be living and dying off the right field bleachers. The rest, I think a lot of it is going to be going to companies. And, I think the average fan is going to get pushed out here. I think Hal is just. I think he's just focused on money. I don't think this is about making this a better Yankee team. So I personally think I don't think we're going to see dick of that $3 billion going into the Yankees personally. So what do you guys think? You know, you're looking at other fans, and a lot of fans are saying, one fans, for instance, saying stuff like, it's going to cost $250 for a 400 level seat. Um, I do agree. I think that the prices are going to go up in the stadium big time. But I don't think we're going to see it help the Yankees. When does private equity actually helped anything in terms of sports? When's private equity helped a sports team? You could say the Dodgers, but I don't think the Guggenheim partnership are struggling financially. I don't think they're about debt consolidation personally. I think Hal's lost. I really do. I think he's lost. Hal is only 55. Yankee Hal. I think he's lost. Yeah. The average fan would be paying a fortune for streaming services to see games. I agree with that completely. I'm leaving the planet if they change the name from the Yankees. The name to the New York Yankees or the South Bronx. Agreed. Donnie Clark, salute to you. Thank you. So yeah, this investment thing just says that they're just trying to cover some freaking debts. I don't think it's about making this team better. I don't think it's about making us active in free agency. I don't think you're going to see anything like that. Because to quote an article from the New York Post, the franchise plans to use the fresh capital to refinance existing obligations and fund future expansion products. Look at that word choice. Fund future expansion projects. Does that sound like it has fucking dick to do with improving your roster? No. It's about investing more in AC Milan. That's what it's about. Maybe buy another soccer team. Maybe do something with the stadium. Raise the prices in the stadium. Maybe add another restaurant. Add some frills to the stadium. But it won't have anything. It won't have dick to do with helping rebuild this roster, putting the money. Not that necessarily needs to, because $350 million is already an insane amount of a payroll. But my major point is that I think the $3 billion, most of it is going to be going to financing the debt and then financing other investment opportunities for Hal Steinbrenner. And my major takeaway to that is George would never. George would do whatever it took to make the Yankees the best baseball team in the world. Whatever it took. Whatever the cost, whatever the price. Bring me the best, only the best. Best manager, the best players, only the freaking best. How? delighted with mediocrity as long as you can finance the debt with the bondsman. That's where we're at. That's where we're at with Hal Steinbrenner. It's sad. That's where it's just sad to see where the Yankees are right now. Salute to you, John the Beagle Dad. Okay, folks, have a great night. Where are you guys on this investment private equity thing? Are you concerned about it? Does it sway you left, right, or center? Do you really care? For me, I just don't think we're going to see much of it or any of it. I think a lot of it is going to be going to Hal's other plans. Because the thing about George was he was only focused on the Yankees. Hal is focused on other things. AC Milan, NYCFC. He's interested in other investment opportunities. He's not really a baseball guy. Yeah, I am concerned because it should be going to player development. I agree. Like, you should be putting that money into the best analytics team in the world. You know? Yes. That money should be going to pay Juan Soto to trade him to the Yankees. I think this is about paying off the stadium, paying off bondsmen, which you're clearly struggling to do for whatever reason, and it's about expansion. But there was, from those quotes that I've read out, no mention, absolutely no mention of investment in the Yankees. Did you guys see anything there about investment in Yankee analytics? Investment on the roster? Investment in analyzing the front office? Nothing. Nothing about that. It's about other opportunities. AC frickin' Milan. NYCFC. And hiking the prices at the stadium. That's what I think it's about. You're right. As Donnie Clark is right here, the Yankees are second behind the Dallas Cowboys for the most organizational money. And here we are, we're having to take on $3 billion of a private equity to try and basically remortgage the stadium to pay off the debts. This is about brown liquor, young women in yachts, and other powdered substances that I won't make in the chat. Legend. Isiori, freaking legend. Yes. I think that that's probably closer to the truth than it is about investing in the Yankees. I think it's jack shit to do with the Yankees. Definitely about boats and hoes. Boats and hoes. That's Hal Steinbrenner. Got his drum set out like Step Brothers. Boats and hoes. He's on his yacht. Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah. Who else can I invest in? That's what it's about. That bro wants to invest. Sounds like a financial investment company. Well, it's about to be a private equity. Will Ferrell times it. Exactly. Hal/Will Ferrell. Step Brothers. Legendary movie. But that's Hal. Boats and hoes, baby. He's got his yacht. Maybe he'll reinvest in some more yachts. Maybe buy a yacht company. It will not be about improving the Yankees, though. I can almost guarantee that. but I need to listen. I want to be wrong. If there's an article that comes out saying Hal Steinbrenner really wants to invest in analytics and wants to upgrade stadium facilities, and he wants to reinvest in a front office and make it the best and put more money into the roster, then great. But bullshit that's going to happen. Absolutely bullshit. So that's where we're at. How's private equity? I don't think it's going to be good. I don't think we're going to see too much good stuff out of that. I don't think we're going to see dick of any improvement from that. Just means that Hal can pay off some bondsmen while he can sit in his yacht outside Milan. And God bless him, eh? Soto misses being a Yankee. I miss Soto being a Yankee. Of course, I actually said that. I knew that he would regret it. I knew that he would regret it. Even though the Yankees are a clown show, the Mets are not ever something you should be banking on. Ever. And I think the most diehard Met fan would agree with me on that. Like, never bet on the Mets. The Yankees could be the biggest clown show in the world, but I would still take them 100 times out of 100 over the Mets, because the Mets will only disappoint you. If we got Soto, I'd actually give a shit again. Frankly, I miss his personality. I miss his will to win. I miss his ego, and it was awesome. The freaking I just miss just that freaking aura about him. He had a fucking aura. Like, every at bat was must watch. Even if it was a walk, it was must watch. It was brilliant. His attitude was brilliant. His home runs, the excitement, his aura was freaking unmatched, and he wanted to win. While the rest of that fucking team, a lot of them looked like they couldn't give two shits. He gave a shit. He gives a shit. Unfortunately, he's going to the Mets. But like, I really miss him, man. The Yankees are not the same without him. You know, they've doubled down on this locker room right now, which is a complete joke. So I definitely miss him, and I would definitely pay to bring him in. I don't care, whatever it takes. But that $3 billion is not going to make a trade for Juan Soto, so it's pointless. Yes, Soto's at bats were events. I miss them, man. I miss them. They were great. But he did it to himself. He did it to himself. One thing about Cohen is he's a used car salesman, and he sold Soto a bill of goods. Soto bought it. Now he's cooked. Now his career is cooked. Now his career is cooked, because the Mets are lost. They are completely lost. So, I mean, kind of torn. Like, do I feel bad for him? No, not really. But do I feel bad for us? Yeah, I really do, because I freaking miss him, and I don't really like this team, as you know. Like, in fact, I can't stand this team. So Soto would make this team interesting and rootable. Bellinger's at bats are dental consultations. Yeah, absolutely. Or could take it further. A freaking, I mean, my God, what is an Andy Volpe at bat? Jesus Christ. like a hospital operation. Soto would have forced Judge and center. Bad idea. I would have played Soto in left field, or it'd probably be a DH because Stanton probably ain't gonna be here for too much longer. Belly has no business being an all-star. Completely agree. I think it's absolutely absurd they made the all-star team. I think there was a little bit of Yankee favoritism there, and I think the fan base really came through for Cody Bellinger, and he didn't deserve it. I don't even know how he won MVP. But look at these numbers. These are not MVP numbers or all-star numbers. A 254 batting average with 11 home runs. I mean, we have to be honest here. Let's be completely honest. His batting average is tied 79th. His home runs 11 is tied 93rd. 51 RBIs is not even that high. Is 42nd. 766 OPS is not even 800 OPS. That's tied for 138th. That's not all-star numbers. 60 strikeouts is way, way above what he normally gets. He's on course to have well over 100 strikeouts. He's on course for less than 20 home runs this season. He's on course for less than 100 RBIs. This is an all-star? All-star my ass. He didn't deserve it. He didn't deserve it. His home run numbers are way down. His batting average is down. His strikeouts are way up. How did he make an all-star team like that? Freaking crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. You know what his numbers are in July? 0 home runs in July. Just 2 walks, 11 strikeouts. How did he crazy. Overpaid and overrated. We act like losing Soto was one of the worst events in Yankee history. Has to be top 5. Name another MVP generational talent we lost in his prime. I agree. It was like a sliding doors moment for me. It was a sliding doors moment because it was the first time that the Yankees ever lost someone that impactful. That was basically an MVP. For me, I think he was more of an MVP than Aaron Judge was that year. Don't at me. I think he was more impactful than Aaron Judge on and off the field. And you lose that. He was the reason why they made the World Series. Let's be honest, him and Stanton. So it was the first time that we've ever had someone that was like basically the heart and soul of your team, and then you lost him in free agency the next year, that winter. I don't think that's ever happened before. Certainly not in my lifetime. And I'm 40, so that's the first time I've ever seen that. So I can't name another occasion. Reggie Jackson? Reggie? Oh, excuse me. Yeah, so I agree with you. I think it was a disastrous moment. But it was also a disaster for Soto too, because he took the Mets. He got sold a bill of goods by the Mets, so it is what it is. But hey, we've gone strong. 2 hours, baby. Yankified is back, and I missed you guys. I missed you guys. I was in Milan, and I missed you guys. I did. I missed you guys. When I went to Milan, I actually went to the San Siro Stadium where Inter Milan and AC Milan play. So that's Hal Steinbrenner's investment. Fuck AC Milan. Inter Milan, baby. They're the champions of Italy, by the way. They are the champions of Italy, not AC Milan. AC Milan are not the champions of Italy. So once again, doesn't matter whatever Hal Steinbrenner touches, you're not going to win. It doesn't matter who he invests in, they ain't going to win. That's a fact. And anybody watch the World Cup there? Did you watch my baby boy Messi beat England? Mwah! Thank you, Messi. Thank you. Screw the English. So, yeah, very happy that England are going home. Anyway, that will be it for the Yankified. It's been an absolute pleasure. 2 hours strong. I think we covered all bases. I think pretty good. I think we covered all bases. Gave Cashman a good roasting, and yeah. Till next time, people. But everybody, could you please do me a favor and hit that like button, hit that share button, do all the good stuff, sub up. We need some more subs in here. Let's hit the sub button. But please do share it out and get more people involved in the Yankified movement. But have a great night, guys. Have an awesome night. And have a great day tomorrow. And I'll see you on the next stream. God bless. Bless up, people.